Hello there guys and welcome to Sunday's action here at South Africa. I am JWF1 and we are here for the 72 lap South African Grand Prix here at the Phakisa Freeway, the first ever South African Grand Prix for IFMC. If you didn't see what happened in qualifying yesterday, it was once again Lewis Hamilton who managed to grab pole position in his Etihad, with Max Verstappen second and Esteban Ocon who managed third. The two Martinis keeping Hamilton for company, and even Sebastian Vettel as well, trying to get himself into the mix in the EMR. Hopefully we're in for a good South African Grand Prix. We've got 72 laps of action coming your way in just a few moments. So before we start then guys, let's mute this, turn this up a little, and let's have a look at the grid for today's South African Grand Prix. Here we go then. So on pole position is Lewis Hamilton with Max Verstappen in second. Esteban Ocon is in third with Sebastian Vettel in fourth position in the EMR. Fernando Alonso lines up in fifth. Alongside him is Kimi Räikkönen. He starts in sixth position. Nico Hülkenberg will start seventh. Sergio Pérez in eighth position. Valtteri Bottas in ninth. Then it is Kevin Magnussen who rounds out the top 10 in 10th position. The two BLLM Motorsport cars lock out row 6. Romain Grosjean 11th and Antonio Giovinazzi in 12th. Pascal Wehrlein starts 13th. Carlos Sainz Jr. in 14th position. Charles Leclerc is in 15th. Daniel Ricciardo in 16th for GRM. Stoffel Vandoorne on 17th. Jean-Eric Vergne 18th in the other GRM. Then it is Brendan Hartley in 19th with Ed Jones in 20th position. And on the back row of the grid, it's Oliver Rowland and Scott Dixon. And that is the grid for today's race here in South Africa. So there is the grid then guys for today's race, and the weather of course is bright and sunny, so leave your predictions, but without further ado, let's get to the South African Grand Prix. So, as RE Central tries to decide what it's going to do. Here we are then on the grid. It's Hamilton on the right, on the left of your screens, Verstappen on the right. Who's going to get the lead into turn 1 as we wait for the 5 red lights to go off to signify the start of the South African Grand Prix here in Phakisa. 1 light is on, and then we have 2 lights are on, 3 lights are on, 4 lights are on, 5 lights are on, and we're underway here in South Africa. It's a good start from Hamilton, who gets away well. He leads Verstappen for dust. Down into turn 1 we go. Alonso gets a good start. He jumps Vettel as he tries to get into the mix with Ocon. As they go for the first couple of corners, it's Räikkönen who's actually got a good start. Vettel's had a terrible start. He's had to save Magnussen up to 7th place. There we got through the first corner safely. I believe so. Everybody's got through okay, but it's Hamilton who leads. Verstappen in 2nd place. Ocon 3rd. Alonso 4th. Räikkönen in 5th with Pérez in 6th. Now Vettel down to 7th. Hülkenberg in 8th. Magnussen 9th and Bottas rounding out the top 10 as he head down towards the right hand. Hamilton starting to try and get a little bit away now from Max Verstappen as they now go around this right hander now, and Hamilton with quite a bit of a lead out in front now. Then Verstappen looking like he's struggling to keep up with the Brit at this stage. Ocon trying to get up to his teammate as much as possible. Well, Alonso all over the backside of Ocon. Can he try and grab 3rd from the Frenchman now then as they go through the right hander? As they go through these corners now then, flat they go. This is where we've seen some overtaking in qualifying done yesterday. Well, Alonso trying to take advantage. Down this little back straight we go. Alonso down to the inside of Ocon. Will he grab 3rd from the Frenchman? No, not quite. Ocon shutting the door on him there as they go through these final few corners on the track. Hamilton and Verstappen trying to get away from Ocon and Alonso, who are busy fighting it out for 3rd place at the moment now as they head in towards the final corner for the first time today. So at the end of lap 1 then, here of 72, it's Hamilton who leads. Verstappen starting to lose time to Hamilton in 2nd. Then it's Ocon 3rd, Alonso 4th, Räikkönen 5th, Pérez right behind in 6th, Vettel 7th, Hülkenberg in 8th, and then it is Magnussen 9th, Bottas 10th, Grosjean 11th, Sainz 12th, Giovinazzi 13th, Wehrlein 14th, with Leclerc 15th, Ricciardo 16th, Vandoorne 17th, Vergne 18th, Hartley 19th, Jones 20th, Dixon 21st, and Rowland in 22nd position. Dixon, of course, having his qualifying ban from yesterday, which is why he was starting in 22nd, but he's gained a place from the start. But Hamilton continuing to get away now from Max Verstappen. We'll have a look at the fuel odds then. So it's 26.7 for Hamilton, 22.7 for Verstappen, 28.7 for Ocon. It's 21.7, 27.7, 23.7, 26.7, 27.7, 18.7, 18.7, 25.6, 19.7, 24.6, 20.7, 25.7, 18.6, 26.6, 25.7, 24.6, 25.6, 22.6, and 26.6. And Verstappen leads for some odd reason. Where's Hamilton? Hamilton's gone off somewhere. Whereabouts is Hamilton on the track? And there he is. He's crashed. Hamilton's gone off. What on earth's happened to Hamilton? That is down at the, just coming off the, when you go across the second time through the oval. Hamilton has gone for a spin. Down at the right-hander, he's beached it and Hamilton is out of the race. Lewis Hamilton out of the South African Grand Prix. He has made a driver error here in South Africa. The wheel has gone off to the opposite side of the oval. Hamilton has crashed out and, well, Hamilton's chance of a victory gone up in smoke there, and now it's down to Alonso to try and get the victory, and he's got some more pace, it seems, compared to the Martinis at this stage of the race. Ocon starting to close back in now to new race leader Verstappen, but Hamilton is out of the race, and we're down to 21 runners in this race now. Then Alonso trying to keep Ocon for company if he can, and if he doesn't come to overtake it, it's going to have to come down to the pit stops. Verstappen sets the fastest lap of 1 minute 8.228. Alonso all over the backside now of Ocon, trying to see where he can try and put a pass on the Frenchman. Heading down this little straight now, then Alonso looking to the inside, but thinks better of it as they go through these next section of corners now, then using as much curve as possible as they will now approach the next section of corners. Ocon going very defensive compared to Alonso in this race, and he can definitely feel the pressure of the Spaniard now then. So Ocon's pretty much preventing Alonso from trying to close up to Verstappen for the lead of this race. And Verstappen not getting away too much from these two at the moment as they go through the second part of the crossover point where the oval is, as now Alonso really trying to get Ocon as much as possible. Now trying to get into the slipstream of the Frenchman. In his slipstream he'll go. You can definitely tell how much pace that BMW engine's got. Alonso going to try again through this right-hander, but again Ocon shutting the door through that right-hander and pretty much saying no way to Fernando. And, well, Alonso still finding it tricky to overtake around here. I think everybody is at this stage. Magnussen finds himself into the points as a result as they go through the right-hander. And, well, that's that really as far as they're concerned. Alonso now then really trying to get Ocon in this race. So go through turn 1 now, then Alonso doing whatever he can to get the Frenchman in this race as trying to stay within the slipstream of Ocon now as they go down towards this corner. Alonso looking to the inside of Ocon. Will he get the move done this time? Down the inside he goes, and no, not quite. Ocon just able to hang him on the outside of the man he's made contact with in the past so many times and keeping hold of second place for the time being. Raikkonen going defensive on Pérez. Pérez all over the backside of him now then as they battle for 4th place in this stage of the race. And, well, that's pretty much that as they go through these sections of corners now. Alonso trying to see where Ocon's weak points are in this racetrack now then as they head down towards the right-hander. Trying to close in out of the traction zones now then. Trying to see if he can get back up to Ocon. You can definitely tell he's back in his slipstream, but not close enough to pass that time around. Meantime, Pérez in the background, looking to the inside of Kimi Raikkonen. Would he get the move done? No, Raikkonen shutting the door in towards that right-hander and unable to make the move stick that time around. Alonso still trying to pile the pressure on Ocon as much as possible in this Grand Prix. And all of this is allowing Verstappen to just pull away a bit. And Ocon essentially helping his teammate out in a way. As now they go down the pit straight. Alonso doing whatever he can to get Ocon in this Grand Prix. Through turn 1 we go. Alonso really trying to threaten it here as they go out of turn 1. Alonso now all over the backside of Esteban Ocon. Will he get the move done on the Frenchman this time? Looking to the inside. No, tucks back into his slipstream. Thinks better of it. Going through the right-hander now then. Alonso doing whatever he can to get the place off Esteban Ocon. He's now going to try and dive it down the inside. This will be a beautiful pass if he makes this one stick. Side by side going Ocon and Alonso through these corners now then. They're going to keep on going side by side through this left-hander now then. Alonso trying to stay with the Frenchman. Side by side they'll go. Alonso doing whatever it takes to get the move done on the Frenchman. Side by side they go. Has he got the place of Ocon? They're still side by side for the right-hander. Ocon still trying to dig deep through here. Side by side they go. One of them's got to give up eventually. Side by side down towards the right-hander. Pérez in the background having a look at Raikkonen. Alonso still sticking to him with Ocon. Still side by side they go now then. This is incredible stuff from both drivers. Brilliant driving for both Esteban and Fernando. Through towards the second last corner. They're still side by side. Through into here. Ocon trying to get the edge on him if he can. Alonso breaking later in towards his final corner. Still side by side they go. This is incredible. And he does it. Alonso up into second place. He never gave up. And Fernando Alonso splits the two Martinis. And Alonso up to P2. He gets the move done on the Frenchman, and now can Alonso try and chase down Verstappen in front now. Well, he lost a bit of time as a result of Ocon holding him up, and now Alonso's got to dig deep to try and catch him back up now in this race. And well, Ocon looking like he's now starting to slip back now from the Spaniard, and now through the right-hander we will go. And well, what brilliant action from both these guys who have made contact before in the past. And, well, they managed to keep it clean for once, just to get some great racing around here in South Africa. That was just beautiful driving from both Esteban and Fernando. And as you can see now, Fernando, with so much pace, able to pull away from Ocon as a result. Ocon's just got no answer to Fernando's pace at this stage of the race. Again, Pérez looking in the background, trying to find a way past on Raikkonen now for P number 4, unable to do so that time around. And Raikkonen keeping hold of 4th place for the time being. At the 2 EMRs, scrapping once himself. Hülkenberg's up to 6th, he passes Vettel. So Hülkenberg gets ahead of his teammate, and up to 6th place goes Nico Hülkenberg. So that's a position for him gained. Let's see now what the gap is like between Alonso and Verstappen as they head towards turn 1 on the track, as on lap 7 of 72 here in South Africa. Through in towards turn 1 we go, and it's 3.6 seconds is the gap between them at the moment. And we'll see if Alonso is able to gain on the next lap compared to Verstappen as they go through the right-hander. And Alonso doing whatever he can to get the Dutchman in this race, as he wants to win. He wants redemption after being robbed of a victory in Brazil 2 races ago. And, well, that's that really. Alonso doing whatever he can for Etihad's honour to get the victory today. The defending champion desperately wanting to kick off his championship if he can, as he now goes through the right-hander now then. And you can definitely tell how much pace Alonso has in that car, as he'll now head up towards the flat-out right-hander now then. As you can see again, Pérez trying to attack Raikkonen in that corner again, just to see if he can do anything, and it doesn't pay off. And Raikkonen still able to get the edge on him at this time, as they go through the right-hander now then. And Pérez doing whatever he can to get Raikkonen for P4. Meantime, let's see what the gap is like now then between Verstappen and Alonso. 3.6 last time around. Through turn 1 we go. What's the gap now? Coming out of the first corner, 3.5 seconds. So he's only taken a 10th out of him that time around, Alonso. So only a 10th taken out between Alonso and Verstappen. Alonso doing whatever he can to get the race leader at the moment, after being gifted the lead thanks to Hamilton's mistake. And I can't remember, in fact, which corner it was where Hamilton made his mistake. I think it was down here, wasn't it? Just the corner that we went past earlier, where Hamilton just made his mistake and crashed out of the Grand Prix. And but the disaster for him as far as he is concerned, as Alonso doing whatever he can. Sorry for the drop of frames again, guys. We've got it from yesterday. Hopefully it's not going to be too serious during this 72 lap South African Grand Prix, as Alonso does whatever he can and digs deep to catch Verstappen, as he's now left Ocon for dust in 3rd place. The sparks continuing to come off the back of the Spaniard now then. And now through towards these final 2 corners on the track then we go. Alonso doing whatever he can to catch him up through the final corner, and onto the pit straight we will go. And so that's that at the moment as they head down towards turn 1 on the track. Pérez, as you can see in the background, still stuck behind Raikkonen at this stage of the race, as they now go through the first crossover point where the oval is. This bit here, look, is where the oval usually is. And so Alonso now then, and he looks a little bit closer to Verstappen that time around. In fact, we didn't see what the gap was like that time around. We forgot to do so, but he does look like he's got a little bit closer to Verstappen than he has done previously, as Alonso doing whatever he can to win this South African Grand Prix. And he does look a tad bit closer now to Verstappen, it must be said. I don't know if Verstappen may have locked up somewhere, because that looks a lot closer than what it has done before. But Alonso digging deep. I think it was actually here, in fact, where Hamilton made his mistake a little earlier on. As Alonso now then going through the right-hander. And so through they go now then in towards these corners. And again, I do apologise for the drop of frames as Alonso goes out of the second to last corner. And let's see now then what the gap is like between Verstappen and Alonso this time around as they go down the pit straight. And the gap between the pair of them is now, let's have a look as they go through turn 1. The gap is 2.9 seconds. That's a lot of time Alonso is taken out of Verstappen's lead at the moment. And, well, that's that really as they go through the section of corners. And Ocon now then, as you can see, going through the next corner as he's continuing to lose time to the top two. Meantime, Pérez still sticking with Raikkonen at this stage now then. And Pérez trying everything he can to get the fin as the two EMRs behind continue to scrap it out for safe. Vettel not giving up on teammate Hülkenberg at this stage of the Grand Prix as he now head down through the crossover point. Pérez doing whatever he can to get Raikkonen for P4 as they go through the right-hander, getting as much traction as possible. And look at how much slipstream Pérez had that time around. He's going to go to the inside of Kimi Raikkonen. Would he try and get fourth this time? No, again, the fin just shutting the door there on Sergio Pérez. And again, Pérez just has no response at the moment to Kimi Raikkonen. And he'll try everything in his power to try and get the Iceman in this Grand Prix now then as they head towards the final corner on the track. And, well, that's that really. And I question as well whether these two are starting to close up on Ocon as well, who's looking very lonely in third place. Again, apologies for the drop of frames. I'm kind of fearing it at the moment with my internet. So now as we go through the right and left-hander, and Pérez doing whatever he can. He's going to try and dive it down the inside through his right hand. Ooh, nearly chopping his way off there was Kimi Raikkonen. Don't know if he was aware Pérez was going for the move there. But so lucky that that didn't end in disaster as a result. Meantime, back to the top two. Alonso still cutting down the gap between himself and Max Verstappen for the lead of this Grand Prix. As Alonso now then goes flying through the right-hander, using as much curb as possible on the outside to try and gain on Verstappen now then as they approach the right-hander. And, well, Alonso, as mentioned, doing it for Etihad after Hamilton crashed out a little bit earlier on, and he's doing a fabulous job as he continues to close in on Max Verstappen for the lead of the race now then as they approach the final corner on the track now then, doing whatever he can to get Verstappen again. The frames are continuing to drop, and, well, that's that really, and it's just continuing to drop. I don't know how. Stop dropping, please. It's just continuously dropping, and well, that's that. There you go. It's just eased out a little bit, but that's a lot of frames that were lost there that time around. I do apologise. You may have seen a bit of lag on your screen. That's what I mean by dropping of frames, when it lags quite a bit. So yeah, that's that as Alonso goes through the section of corners. And so through the left-hander we will go, using as much curb as possible as he goes through the crossover point up towards the right-hander he will go before going on to the little back straight. And again, the frames continue to drop. I fear that it's going to disconnect the internet soon. So as Ricciardo is into the pits, why is Danny Rick into the pits? He's lost his front wing. Why has Ricciardo lost his front wing? It's unseen by the cameras. He must have made some contact with somebody or gone straight on into the barriers. So whatever the case, Ricciardo in with a damaged front wing. And, well, that's that really. Ricciardo in. And, well, with substantial front wing damage. And that's that for him, really. Verstappen through the right-hander he will go. And as they go through the final corner. And let's see now then what the gap is like between Alonso and Verstappen now then as they head towards turn 1 on the track. And through they go now then, out of the corner, heading towards the first crossover point. And the gap is 2.6 seconds. So he's still gained a lot since the last time we checked on him. And Alonso still continuing to cut the gap down on Max Verstappen in front, as he does everything in his power to win this race here. Meantime, back to this battle for fourth place between Raikkonen and Pérez, as they will now approach the right-hander. And Raikkonen going very defensive into that right-hander now then. And they'll be coming back towards that crossover point again very soon. Through the left-hander we will go. And Pérez in the slipstream of Kimi now then. Using as much curve as possible as they head down through this straight now then towards the right-hander. And again, Pérez trying to line him up for a pass down towards this right-hander. But we'll see if he's able to make this work now then. Heading down the straight, looking to the inside. Will Pérez get the move done on Raikkonen this time around? And no, not quite again. Raikkonen choosing to shut the door on him there. Vettel still within the slipstream of Hülkenberg as the two EMRs fight for 6th place at this stage. And unable to get close at this stage. Meantime, what's the gap between Verstappen and Alonso now then? As I go through turn 1. And I expect the first round of stops to come around about lap 20. 20 to 26 we'll see them come about. And as you can see, 2.4 seconds I think that's Sergio Alonso took 2 attempts there out of Verstappen's lead out in front at the moment. So again, Fernando lapping quicker than Max Verstappen's Martini at this stage of the Grand Prix. And in towards the left-hander we will go. And Alonso really pushing hard now to get Verstappen. Meantime, back to this battle for 4th place between Raikkonen and Pérez as they just go through the left-hander. Pérez now within the slipstream of Raikkonen again, but again, I think he's just trying everything he can to try and get him in towards that right-hander, which has so far not played well into the hands of Checo at the moment as they go through the right-hander, going down this little back straight now then, and Pérez not close enough to make a pass on Raikkonen this time around. And the frames continuing to drop. I do apologise, guys. And they go through the right-hander. And now up towards the final corner we will go. And Pérez now then, will he try and go for a move? It doesn't appear like it. The gap between Alonso and Verstappen meantime is 2.3 seconds. So only a tenth Alonso gained on Verstappen that time around. So that's that at the moment. As I go through the right-hander. And now up towards the hairpin we will go. And now up towards the next left-hander on the track. And Alonso looking a lot closer than what he did before compared to Verstappen. You can see him in his sights and just doing whatever he can to find a weakness in the teenage Dutchman at the moment, trying to prevent him from taking a second victory of his career. Alonso wanting to get Etihad's first victory on the board, as they will go flat out through the right-hander. And so far then, if you've just joined us, we're now on lap 15, well, it'll soon be lap 16 very soon of the race of 72 at the moment. Verstappen leads, Alonso closing in 2nd, Ocon 3rd, Raikkonen 4th, Pérez 5th, Hülkenberg 6th, Vettel 7th, Bottas 8th, Ricciardo now a lap down in 21st by the way, but it's his Magnussen who is 9th, with Grosjean 10th, Sainz 11th, Giovinazzi 12th, Leclerc 13th, Verline 14th, Van Dorn 15th, Verne 16th, Hartley in 17th, with Dixon 18th, Rowland 19th, Jones in 20th, and of course Ricciardo in 21st, as we just mentioned a little earlier. So that's that at the moment, as Alonso now goes up towards the right-hander and doing everything in his power to get Verstappen in this Grand Prix now then, as they approach the left-hander on the track, and using a lot of curb there on the outside as he tries everything in his power to get the place off Max Verstappen for the lead of this Grand Prix. And Raikkonen's now starting to get away a bit now from Sergio Pérez. Pérez struggling to find a way through on Kimi Raikkonen at this stage of the Grand Prix as he goes flat through the right-hander. And Raikkonen now starting to get away from Sergio Pérez as a result. Let's see now what the gap is like this time around between Alonso and Verstappen as they come out of the final corner. Again, sorry for the dip of frames. And now through towards turn 1 on the track. And so going out of turn 1, let's see what the gap is like between these two. And it's 2.1 seconds. That is the gap now between the pair of them. And they're still continuing to drop. And as they go up towards turn number 2 on the sorry, not turn number 2, up towards the right-hander we will go. And Alonso doing whatever he can to get the place off Max Verstappen for the lead. Out of the corner we will go now, then using a lot of curb on the outside there then. And so now up towards the right-hander we will go. Again, sorry for the drop of frames at the moment, as now going through the right-hander. So now going through the right-hander we will go. Alonso again trying everything in his power to get Verstappen in this race. And so now going up towards the final corner. And Alonso, let's see now then what the gap is like between the pair of them this time around. And the gap between Alonso and Verstappen going through turn 1 is now, let's have a look, going down the straight, it is now down to 2 seconds exactly. So Alonso cutting the gap down a little bit more in this race as they go through the right-hander. And now up towards the long hairpin we will go. And so around we will go, heading out of the corner. Through the left we will go, using a lot of curb on the outside as they head down the straight. Again, sorry for the drop of frames, which is why you're probably seeing a lot of lag on your screen. But through towards the right-hander we will go. And now heading down towards the last few corners on the track. And so far, Alonso still trying to pile the pressure. Pérez, as mentioned, now losing time to Raikkonen. Raikkonen started to get away in P4. Hülkenberg has now created a bit of a buffer now between himself and Sebastian Vettel in the EMR. As Bottas currently in 8th place. Looks like Ricciardo is trying to unlap himself at his expense. As Magnussen currently in P9, just outside the points at this stage. As they go through the right-hander. As now let's see what the gap is like between Verstappen and Alonso. Is now down to 1.9 seconds, so another 10th Alonso took out of him that time around. I think we're a few laps away now from the first round of stops. And as Bottas is into the pits, is he in for his first round of stop? And where is he on the track? There he is. Yes, Bottas in for his first scheduled stop. And let's see how quick the pit stop is going to be. It's lap 19 of the race. And he's going quite a bit light into his stop there. And no, that's Bottas. I do apologise. He's got 29.9 litres. Magnussen also came out of his box there. And both of them, well, Bottas running a little bit, 8 litres more than what Magnussen is running. I wonder if Magnussen's probably planning a free stop in this race. We'll wait and see. Unless he's going to feel quite heavy towards the end of the race. But they rejoin in 16th and 18th respectively, with Dixon splitting them. At this stage, Dixon and El Dorado employee will hope to try and help Bottas in a way and help Bottas pull away a little bit more in this Grand Prix. Raikkonen currently 4th. Now got quite a bit of a gap in front. A gap between the top 2 now. I wouldn't be surprised if around about a couple of laps, because those guys pitted when they had 5 litres left. I wouldn't be surprised if they will be pitting in about a couple of laps time, so about lap 22. And it's up to 2 seconds again, so Verstappen's increased the gap a little bit more. So maybe Alonso, I don't know if he made a little mistake on that lap, I don't know, but we'll see if that's going to continue on the next lap, because Alonso pretty much has him in his sights now. And Ocon's still in the background, but still unable to challenge the top 2 at this stage, as into the pits goes Carlos Sainz Jr. in the Shadow Mercedes, and let's see how quick the stop's going to be for him. And he's putting on 24.9 litres in the tank. So let's see where he's going to be joining after the stop. And it is a 10.5 second stop from the Shadow Mechanics. And he's going to rejoin in, let's have a look, he rejoins in 18th place in the Shadow. So rejoining 18th is Carlos Sainz Jr. just behind Scott Dixon. And that's that at the moment. I think unseen by the cameras, Magnussen has got by on Dixon and Hartley, and also as Bottas as well. So they're moving up the field quite rapidly. They're not wasting any time. So Dixon kind of failed to help Bottas try and get away from Magnussen, as Magnussen again trying to continue to close up. As a contact there between Dixon and Sainz there. I will be interested to see what on earth happened there in terms of those two. As let's have a look and see what the replay was, and let's see what happened. So Sainz got a lot more traction there than what Dixon had. So Sainz goes to the inside, and well, that was a little bit clumsy there from Dixon, and you'd have to say he kind of pretty much put Sainz on an awkward angle. That incident will be investigated after the race. That is for sure, between Sainz and Dixon, because that was quite an awkward one between the pair of them. And it'll be very interesting to see if anybody gets blamed. It's down to 1.9 seconds, and Alonso is pitting this lap. He's hoping to try and get the jump on Verstappen in the pits if he can. So Alonso is pitting at the end of lap number 21 of this Grand Prix now then. Alonso, as mentioned, pitting at the end of this lap, as he now goes towards the left-hander. Pascal Wehrlein in the AMP now pits for his scheduled stop in the AMP. As Alonso now then through down towards the section of corners, as he tries to pile the pressure on Max Verstappen in this Grand Prix, as he uses a lot of curb on the outside up towards the right-hander on the track. And Alonso hoping to try and get a jump on the Dutchman in the pit stop if he can. As they now go through the right-hander, we'll be seeing Alonso peel to the left, and I wouldn't be surprised if Verstappen pits a lap later. And there you go then, into the pits comes Fernando Alonso from second place, as he tries to hunt down Verstappen for the victory today, as he will pull into his box. There are his mechanics waiting for him, and he will put on a fresh set of tyres and fuel. And let's see how quick the pit stop is going to be then for Fernando Alonso. And he's got 20.9 litres, so don't know if everybody's planning to do a free stop or maybe do a two stop and run a lot heavy towards the end. But either way, Alonso finishes his pit stop. Where is he going to rejoin? As he comes out of pit lane, and he rejoins in what looks to be P8 at the moment, unless somebody's on the right hand side. Nope, it's 8th place, so Alonso rejoins in 8th in front of Antonio Giovinazzi, who is yet to stop. So Alonso with quite a bit of clean air. Not much, but it will do nicely. But either way, Verstappen is pitting at the end of this lap as predicted. Ocon will stay out a little bit longer to temporarily lead the race. But Verstappen pitting at the end of this lap. And I don't know if there'll be a leapfrog. I don't think there will be. But whether Alonso will get closer to the back of Verstappen, we will wait and see. As now Verstappen is in. Where's Alonso on track? Alonso is just coming up towards the right-hander, towards the mini back straight. And so he's towards the end of the lap. And let's see then, as the Martini mechanics prepare for Verstappen's stop. So they put on a fresh set of tyres and fuel. Let's see how quick the stop's going to be then from the Martini mechanics. 17.9 litres are going into Verstappen's car. So everybody running quite light on this stint, it appears. 8.8 second stop for Verstappen as Alonso comes around the final corner. He's right behind Grosjean. Verstappen, I think, will still be out in front at the moment, but how close is Alonso? As Verstappen going through the first corner, and Verstappen rejoins in 6th. Grosjean splitting the pair of them at the moment. Alonso stuck behind Grosjean. That is not exactly what Fernando needed at this stage. Alonso down to the inside of Grosjean. Can he get the move done on the Frenchman as he sees Verstappen there? And he does so. Up to 7th place goes Fernando Alonso. And pretty much I think if you'd have to say Grosjean probably cost Alonso a little bit of time there as a result. So not the best position that Alonso wanted to come out of. But now he's got to try again and try and beat him in the next pit stop if he can. As the pair of them are coming up to a bit of traffic. So the traffic could actually help Alonso in a way, as Verstappen is coming up to some traffic in the form of Ricciardo and even Vettel as well. As Ricciardo is still trying to unlap himself if he can. Verstappen getting up to the back of the Ferrari-powered GRM. And let's see if Ricciardo is going to make it a bit easy for Verstappen, as Dixon is in the Mars Grand Prix car. And Verstappen looking to the inside, in towards the right-hander. And a bit easy there. Ricciardo still trying everything he can, maybe to try and help Alonso in a way. But now Verstappen finds himself in some more traffic. As now he's on the back of Sebastian Vettel. As now Verstappen looks to the inside of Vettel. Will he get the move done down towards turn 1? And he does so. Up into 4th place goes Verstappen. And now Alonso's trying to get up onto this fight if he can, as he tries everything to get back on the prow of Max Verstappen for the lead. This traffic not helping out the Spaniard at the moment as they go through the right-hander now then. And look how much traffic there is to deal with the top two at the moment. Well, the the proper top two at the moment. It's not official at the moment, but the guys in front of them are still yet to make a pit stop in this race now. Then Alonso trying to lap fellow Etihad employee Daniel Ricciardo, the man that will replace him at the team next season I should say, as through goes Alonso. Now he'll try and get Sebastian Vettel if he can for P5, as Verstappen now going down to the inside of Hülkenberg, but Hülkenberg saying no to that. He's not letting Verstappen go in this instance. Hülkenberg saying no to that. He doesn't care whether he's the main race leader, and well, Verstappen has to work a little bit harder to get the Mercedes powered EMR as he tucks up to the back of Hülkenberg, and again Hülkenberg staying put. Alonso stuck behind Vettel, so both the top two getting stuck behind EMRs at this stage. The EMRs saying no way to a pass from the pair of them at this stage as they go through the last corner now. Then Verstappen, will he try and get Vettel down the pit straight, and will Alonso try and get Hülkenberg down the pit straight, and will Alonso try and get Vettel onto the pit straight? Verstappen down the inside of Hülkenberg, and he gets the move done. Up to third place he will go as Alonso tries to go down the inside of Vettel. Can he get the move done on the German? Vettel still sticking with him, but Alonso has a little bit more grunt, and Alonso up to fifth place as Ricciardo again tries to unlap himself at the expense of Vettel. Giovinazzi into the pits for his scheduled stop of the Grand Prix. So that's that at the moment, and again another car separating Verstappen and Alonso. I bet Alonso's getting frustrated having to come across cars before he can try and get onto Verstappen as they go out of the left-hander. Just show how much pace the top two have compared to the rest of the field. And Alonso pretty much probably has angry face in the cockpit at the moment as he's desperate to try and get Verstappen in the Grand Prix now. Then as Alonso goes flat through the right-hander now, then as they'll go up towards the flat-out final few corners on the track. Is Vettel going to be pitting? Sorry, Hülkenberg going to be pitting this lap? I'm still getting the two EMRs mixed up, and it doesn't appear like it at this stage. So Alonso's going to have to try and get him on the track as I go through the final corner. And you can tell how much grip Alonso has compared to Hülkenberg. Verstappen sets the fastest lap of 1 minute 7.876 at the moment as a result of Alonso getting held up. He's taking full advantage of the clean air that's in front of him at the moment, as now Alonso right in the slipstream with Nico Hülkenberg as Grosjean's in for his scheduled stop. And will Alonso get the move done on Hülkenberg down towards this right-hander? He goes into the slipstream, looks to the inside, thinks better of it, and maybe we'll have to wait for the next corner perhaps to get the move done on Nico Hülkenberg. He can't waste too much time behind him as he's got a race to fight for. Hülkenberg going defensive like with Verstappen, doesn't care who it is behind. He's racing his own race, doesn't care about others around him as they go through towards the left-hander. Verne into the pits for his scheduled stop, and Alonso now then right in the slipstream of Nico Hülkenberg as they go through the right-hander. Will Alonso get the move done on Hülkenberg this time around? And no, stay single file, probably waiting for the flat-out right-hander. And again, Hülkenberg just being a pain for Alonso at this stage. And Verstappen just taking advantage of the traffic at the moment to pull a bit of a gap to Fernando Alonso as he's now come up stuck behind Kimi Räikkönen at this stage. Räikkönen staying out for another lap. And will Verstappen try and get the place off Kimi Räikkönen at this stage of the race now then as they go down the pit straight now? Then Verstappen in the slipstream with Räikkönen. He's going to go to the inside. Will Verstappen get the move done on Kimi Räikkönen? Down towards turn one we go, and he does so. Up to second place goes Max Verstappen as Jones finishes his pit stop. As down to the inside goes Alonso, but again Hülkenberg staying with him. Hülkenberg doesn't care who it is at the moment, and Alonso having to fight a little harder to get Hülkenberg, and I bet he's a bit frustrated in the cockpit. Vettel now in the pits for EMR. Alonso doesn't try and dive it down the inside, and all of this is costing him time to the back of Verstappen. It's allowing Verstappen to get away out in front at the moment, and Alonso's got to be frustrated at the moment, being stuck behind Nico Hülkenberg's Mercedes powered EMR. And well, that's that really at the moment as I go through the left hand. Alonso trying to get through on Hülkenberg if he can as they go out of the left-hander up towards the right-hander. We will go Alonso. Will he try and get the move done on Hülkenberg this time around? No, again Hülkenberg sticking to his grounds at this stage of the race. Verstappen able to pull a bit more out in front because of the traffic. Roland into the pits for his scheduled stop. Ocon not expected to pit just yet, and he's staying out for another lap, but he's now going to be pitting at the end of lap 28, so Ocon will be pitting at the end of the lap. As meantime now Räikkönen is in, and now is Hülkenberg, so Alonso now free but frustrated, he must be said, for the Spaniard, as he's lost a heap of time now to Max Verstappen out in front of the Grand Prix. And so now he's got to push hard and try and catch up again to Verstappen, but that's a lot of time he's got to gain now onto the Dutchman, and a lot of traffic he's got to try and contend with in this Grand Prix, as Alonso now negotiates through the right-handers. Out goes Antonio Giovinazzi. Giovinazzi out of the race. What's happened to Gio? And where is he? And there he is. He's gone for a spin and has whacked it in the wall at the same corner where Hamilton crashed earlier. So that's the second man he's beached it at that corner. And Antonio Giovinazzi is out of the race, and we're down to 20 runners here in Phakisa. And Giovinazzi day comes to an end as a result, as we're back with Alonso, who's trying to catch back up to Verstappen. And again, he's coming up now to some traffic as he goes through the left-hander. Meantime, there's a battle in front of him at the moment between a Monster and a Mars. And I think that's to contend with 17th place. It's between the two Kiwis of Dixon and Hartley, the Season 3 IFMC GP2 champion, as Hartley now tries to get into the slipstream now of Dixon. Tried to have a look, but thought better of it. Dixon sticking to his morals at the moment and sticking to it at this stage as he now goes up towards the right-hander. Some more frames drop, I do apologise. And so, out of that right-hander we will go. Alonso doing whatever he can in this Grand Prix. And out of the second to last corner and up towards the final corner will go Fernando Alonso, as Ocon is now in for his scheduled stop. And now down the pit straight we will go as they go up towards turn 1 on the track. And so out of turn 1 now then, and he's 8.2 now behind Verstappen because of all the hold-ups that has been going on. Verstappen got a bit of a lead now as a result, but he's still coming up to this bit of traffic who are busy fighting amongst themselves, and Alonso trying to get through on traffic for himself at the moment. And so that's that, as Vettel now sets the fastest lap of 1 minute 7.774. So Vettel now setting the fastest lap of the Grand Prix as Alonso goes through the left-hander using as much curb as possible now then. Verstappen still stuck behind this bit of traffic at the moment, as now Hartley tries to have a go at Dixon at the moment, and Verstappen struggling to find a way through on this bit of traffic at the moment, who are busy squabbling amongst themselves. Up towards the second to last corner we will go, and now Verstappen doing whatever he can to get through, and Hartley realises this, and Verstappen goes around the outside and puts a lap on him now then, as Alonso now then puts a lap on Ollie Rowland, and getting frustrated with all these cars around him at this stage, and as it's just costing him time to Max Verstappen, who's just gone out of turn 1 at the moment, as he now tries and laps Scott Dixon in the Mars Grand Prix car. We ride on board with the Dutchman as he goes through the right-hander and using as much curb as possible. And now up towards the right-hander as he now puts a lap on Scott Dixon now then. Alonso doing whatever he can to put a lap on the Mars Grand Prix car. And so now up towards the left-hander we go. Out of the corner now then, heading through the right-hander now then, and through the left as we now go through these next section of corners. Out of the corner now then, through the right as they go up towards the flat-out right-hander on the track. And so now going through these section of corners, and Alonso still trying to lap this piece of traffic, and we'll see then what the gap is like between Alonso and Verstappen as a result of all this traffic that has happened, as we're now on lap 31 of 72 here in Phakisa. We're 5 laps away from the halfway stage of the Grand Prix, as Alonso there gets a little bit of understeer, probably due to the dirty air of Jones, and he's caught up a little bit to Verstappen, in fact, probably because Verstappen got held up by Rowland and Hartley and Dixon, because it's now 7.8 seconds as Ocon sets the fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 7.010, I think it said that he just set there. So now Ocon holds on to the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Meantime, Verstappen still leading out in front in the Martini, as he just goes down this little run towards the right-hander. And now out the corner he will go, flat through the right-hander. As he will now go up towards another flat out right-hander. These section of corners are usually quite flat. As he now goes up towards the second to last corner on the track. Ocon third, and meantime, unseen by the cameras, of course, Pérez managed to get the jump on Raikkonen, as did Bottas, because Bottas is now in front of Raikkonen. So while we were keeping an eye on the top two, that's exactly what has happened. Pérez up to 4th and Bottas up into 5th place. Raikkonen in 6th, but Raikkonen now challenging his fellow compatriot for P5 now. Raikkonen daddy inside of Bottas, but Bottas shutting the door and keeps hold of P5 for the moment in this race. As meantime, the EMRs have lost time, but Vettel has managed to jump Hülkenberg into the pit, so he gets up into 7th place in front of Hülkenberg, but seeming losing out on strategy compared to the others. Alonso puts a lap on Jones as he tries to catch back up to Verstappen, who's now got a bit of a gap in front at this stage. And a few litres left, and we'll be at the second round of stops again. And it'll be very interesting to see if it is going to be a free stop or a long run on this a long stint on the second stop. We'll wait and see. Verstappen now then through the right-hander he will go. And Verstappen now leading the race as he goes through the flat-out right-hander on the track. And now up towards the hairpin he will go. Out of the corner now, then up towards the final corner will go Max Verstappen. And out of the corner using as much curb on the outside now then as they go up towards the left-hander. And Verstappen still leading the race out in front at this stage of the race. And let's see what the gap is like now between Verstappen and Alonso, as he's still trying to negotiate some traffic at this stage. Excuse me, 9.1 seconds shows how much the traffic is affecting Alonso in this race at the moment. As they go through the right-hander now then. And out of the corner we will go. And now up towards the hairpin now then goes Alonso. And now up towards the left will go Fernando Alonso. And as you can see, off goes one of the monsters. That's why Alonso had to dip a gear. It's Hartley. Hartley has gone off. What has happened to Brendan Hartley? Why has he gone off at that corner? Let's have a look and see as I go through the left-hander. And he just carries a bit too much speed and just runs out of road as a result. An easy way for Alonso to lap someone, I suppose. But that's cost Hartley some time. And now Jones finds himself right onto the back of the keyway. As through goes Ocon there, and doing a little bit of dodging work there, it must be said. And, well, nearly anyway, because Hartley didn't let him through that time around, and through goes Ocon. And so through he will go. Alonso now then, currently in second place at this stage of the Grand Prix, but it must be said that this traffic is not helping him out in trying to win this Grand Prix. As through towards turn 1 there goes Max Verstappen. And let's see what the gap is like now between himself and Alonso as they go through turn number 1 on the track. And out of turn 1 we will go. Heading down this little run as it's 10.2 seconds now the gap is between the top two. Alonso probably a little bit angry with that at the moment. He's got one more piece of traffic to lap before we can try and push hard and try and cut down on that gap if he can in this Grand Prix at the moment. As now through the left-hander he will go. Through the right, and then the left-hander will go Verstappen. As he now goes through the flat-out right, using a lot of curb on the outside. As he will now get a run up towards the final few corners on the track. And let's see what Max is able to do. Through the triple right we will go. And now up towards the final corner will go Max Verstappen. Let's see what he is able to do as he heads down the pit straight. And now through in towards turn 1 on the track. And so through the right and left-hander will go Max Verstappen. So now going through the section of corners, and Alonso now then has lapped Dixon, and now through goes Ocon. Look how much time he's lost, because now Ocon has caught up to the back of Alonso now then. It's 0.9 seconds between the pair of them now then. Dixon has affected Alonso so much to the point now Ocon is starting to attack him. Alonso goes defensive. Ocon now down the inside of Alonso. Will he grab second from the Spaniard? Down the inside he will go, and he does. Ocon up to second place. It's now Martini 1-2. As a result, Ocon up to second place because of the traffic that's affected Alonso in this race, and now Alonso has got to dig deep and try and get him back. They're now free of the traffic as a result, so both of them can now try and pursue Verstappen if they can. Verstappen's now got a bit of a lead out in front now because of the traffic, and well, that's that at the moment in this Grand Prix. We're now going to be starting lap 36 of 72. We're going to be at the halfway stage of the Grand Prix, and as it crossed the line now, Verstappen starts lap 36 of the race. Alonso starting to lose some time now to Ocon, surprisingly. Probably because Ocon, if you look at it, is running quite a less amount of fuel than what Alonso is running. Alonso looking like he's going to run a little bit longer in the Grand Prix. As now he goes through turn 1. And so now we go through the section of corners now that Alonso doing whatever he can to get Ocon for second place. As he goes through the right-hander, using as much curb as possible now then as they go up towards the right-hander on the track. And as they now go up towards the section of corners now, Alonso currently in third place at the moment. As Verstappen trying his best to lap Kevin Magnussen in this race now then. As out goes Carlos Sainz Jr. Out of the race. What's happened to Sainz? And whereabouts was he on the track? And there he is. And it's a fiery engine for Carlos Sainz Jr. Carlos Sainz Jr. out of the race, and we're down to 19 runners. Sainz out. And, well, that's the end of his race there then. A brave fire marshal, it must be said, to retract him there. Getting involved in the flames, it must be said, as there are the yellows as soon as Max comes up towards the scene. The yellows still out at this part of the track. As Verstappen now then just goes out of the final corner as he now starts lap 37 of 72, as he will be pitting this lap. So Verstappen pitting at the end of lap 37 of the Grand Prix now then, as Alonso begins to lose time now to Ocon, it must be said. Ocon will temporarily lead the race, and then I wouldn't be surprised if he pits the lap after Verstappen in the Grand Prix. As Alonso continues to lose time, it must be said, as he's now down 3.2 behind Esteban Ocon. Alonso appearing to struggle on this stint, it must be said. Maybe the traffic has affected him a lot. Possibly maybe some dirty air in the car, who knows really. But something has definitely affected Alonso on this stint now that he's behind Ocon. And, well, that's that for him really. As Alonso goes through the left-hander, as into the pits goes Nico Hülkenberg for his second stop of the afternoon. It's a big question, and let's have a look and work out that amount of fuel. And he is fueled to the end of the race, so it is a two-stop race. They're just fueled quite heavy on the final stint. So Hülkenberg making his pit stop, and out on track he will go. And let's see where he's going to rejoin, as Verstappen is now into the pits. The race leader is in. So let's see how quick the stop's going to be then for Max Verstappen, as mechanics wait to get to work on his car, and he will then pull into his box. And let's see how quick the stop's going to be then for Max, as he puts on a fresh set of tyres and fuel, a clean wipe of the visor. And so let's see how quick the stop's going to be for Max Verstappen, and it's a 14.3 second stop from him now then, as he goes trundling down pit lane, as he goes through the left-hander, and he now rejoins in 4th place behind Sergio Pérez. So Pérez in 3rd place. It does leave his teammate temporarily in the lead, and he's not pitting this lap surprisingly. So that's that really, as Ocon now then goes through the section of corners now then, as Grosjean is in for his second stop of the afternoon, as Ocon will go flat through the right-hander now then. Going through the section of corners now then will go Esteban Ocon. And so now up towards the left-hander he will go, and let's see, will he be pitting next lap on lap 39 of 72? Let's see as he crosses the line, and he is. Magnussen into the pits for his scheduled stop. So, as mentioned, Ocon pitting at the end of this lap for his second stop, as Magnussen is now fueled to the end of the race. Let's see how quick the stop's going to be then for the Dane. And let's see now then as he finishes off his pit stop. And where is K-Man going to rejoin then? And he will then turn off his pit limiter. And Magnussen rejoins. Let's have a look. Magnussen rejoins in 17th place. So that's that. So rejoining 17th is Max Verstappen. Sorry, Kevin Magnussen. Sorry, not Max. As meantime, Raikkonen now starting to challenge Sebastian Vettel for P5. It must be said, unseen by the cameras. I think Vettel must have passed Raikkonen on the track somewhere. Now Raikkonen appears to want to have the place back off the German. So a bit of a battle going on there. As into the pits goes Charles Leclerc. It must be said, I think Leclerc is possibly challenging for points in this Grand Prix. He's yet to finish a race, let's not forget, as Ricciardo's in for his second stop of his disastrous race. And let's see where Leclerc is going to rejoin. And he'll flick off the pit limiter. And let's see where he'll rejoin as Ocon is into the pits for his second stop. Leclerc rejoins in 13th place as Ricciardo finishes his stop, as now Ocon is being served. Let's see where he is going to rejoin, as Alonso is also in. So Alonso into the pits as well. And so Alonso in, there he is, being served in his box. And quite a long stop because they're taking in a lot of fuel now. And Ocon's having to wait for Ed Jones to finish off his stop. And Alonso finishes off his. Ocon's still in front, but I bet he's gained a little bit as a result of Ocon being held up in the by Jones, as I said. As Ocon rejoins in third place, as Verstappen now takes the lead from Pérez. So a little bit of trying to get through on the traffic, but Verstappen passes Pérez and he's up back into the lead of the Grand Prix. Ocon rejoined in third. Alonso rejoins sixth. Behind Raikkonen and Vettel. Vettel starting to get away now a bit from Kimi Raikkonen. These two still yet to make a scheduled stop in the Grand Prix. The second scheduled stop, it must be said. And Raikkonen still trying to pile the pressure on Mr. Vettel as much as possible as they go through the left-hander now then. Down through the right and left-hander we will go as they will now approach the section of right-handers now then before they get towards the end of the lap. And meantime now then, Verstappen leading. Is Pérez pitting? No, Pérez is staying out for a little bit longer before he makes his second scheduled stop. Through towards the final corner we go as he head down the pit straight. And now up towards the first corner on the track. And so that's that then. Hang on a minute. Sorry about that, as we got a yellow flag. Why have we got a yellow? There's yellow flags out. Why is there a yellow flag? And let's have a look and see where we can find it. Is there? Let's have a look. And I know James, he's not pitted yet. And why have we got a yellow flag? Where is the yellows? And are there any yellows? It doesn't appear like there's yellow flags now. So that's very odd. There's a Houdini effect kicked in again. It looks like a Houdini might have kicked in this race because there's now no yellow flags. So I think it just said that somebody's out of the race. In fact, it says we've got 18 cars left. So let's see anyway. We'll look at Verstappen because I think it said that somebody had retired from the Grand Prix. And let's have a look above to see if it says it again. And it doesn't say it for some odd reason. So that's very, very, very odd, it must be said. Oh, there it is. There's a BLLM Motorsport being pulled off. That is not Giovinazzi. That has to be Grosjean because Giovinazzi crashed out a little bit further down on the track. So Romain Grosjean appears to be out of the race unless we catch him on here. And nope, that's it then. So it is Romain Grosjean who is out of the race. So we're down to 18 runners as a result. So Grosjean out, both BLLM Motorsports calling it a day here in South Africa. Meantime, Alonso all over the backside of Raikkonen. He is angry at the moment in this race as now Alonso starts to challenge Raikkonen for P5 in the Grand Prix. Will Alonso get the move done on Kimi Raikkonen as he head down towards his little back straight? Alonso down the inside of Raikkonen. Will he get the job done? No, Raikkonen shuts the door through towards these corners now then, as they will now approach the second to last corner now then. And let's see what Alonso can do now then, as they will now approach the final corner on the track. And now through towards the last corner as we'll head down the pit straight. And Alonso now going to try and look to the inside of Raikkonen if he can. Will he try and dive it down the inside? Through towards turn 1, down the inside he goes. Raikkonen still sticking with Alonso at the moment. He seems Alonso must have some better traction compared to Raikkonen. Raikkonen still staying side by side with the Spaniard and able to stay in front at the moment. Alonso not happy with this at the moment. Vettel pitting at the end of this lap for his scheduled stop at the Grand Prix. And Pérez still staying out for a little bit longer before he makes his second stop of the afternoon. So that's that for him. As Verstappen still leading the Grand Prix at the moment as he's now fueled to the end of the race. So that's that for him. Meantime, Alonso still stuck behind Raikkonen and Suomi at the moment in this Grand Prix as they now go through the right-hander now then. Alonso doing whatever he can to get by on Kimi Raikkonen as they go through the right-hander now then, using as much curb as possible as they'll now go up towards the final few corners on the track. Alonso, will he try and get the move done on Kimi Raikkonen now then? Up towards the second to last corner we will go, and not able to make the move stick that time around. So he has to stay behind him for the moment as they go up towards the final corner. And will Alonso get the move done on Kimi Raikkonen as they head down towards turn 1 on the track. Vettel in for his second stop of the afternoon. We're keeping an eye on this battle between Raikkonen and Alonso at the moment as they now head down through these right and left-handers now then. See what Alonso can do as they go through the right-hander, and again unable to get close enough to get the move done on Kimi Raikkonen as they will now go up towards the right-hander. Alonso still stuck behind, doesn't think about diving it down the inside into that right-hander as Van Dorn in for his scheduled stop of the afternoon. As they now go through the left-hander, Alonso doing whatever he can to get Raikkonen as they now go through the right and left-hander now then as they go through the flat-out right-hander on the track. And now coming out of the corner now then, Alonso continuing to pile the pressure on Kimi Raikkonen. And so through the right-hander you will go through the final few corners on the track. And Alonso trying to dive it down the inside of Raikkonen, but Raikkonen again still sticking to his grounds at the moment, on his morals at this stage, as Raikkonen, remember, is still yet to make a pit stop in this Grand Prix. Meantime now Ocon's got close to the back of Sergio Pérez, who is scheduled for a pit stop this lap, and Ocon is now caught up to the back of Pérez as a result of that bit of traffic that was there. Ocon now starting to pile the pressure on his Force India teammate in real life, Sergio Pérez, as meantime Magnussen still trying to unlap himself, it appears, and he does so. He doesn't care if that's Ocon, because he's just unlapped himself in the form of Ocon, and it's allowed Raikkonen and Alonso, I believe, to close up just a tad bit at the moment as they now go up towards the right-hander. As now we go through these section of corners now then, Alonso doing whatever he can to get Kimi Raikkonen for 4th place before he makes his pit stop. As somebody locked up there, I think it was anyway, I think I saw a little bit of smoke as Vern into the pits for his scheduled stop as he puts on a fresh set of tyres and fuel. We've just passed the 2 o'clock mark now in this Grand Prix. Luckily for us, this race will finish before the Bahrain Grand Prix of Formula 1 starts, so that's that really, guys. So luckily we only had the top class on for today, because if we had any other series on, it would have been a bit of a disaster with also MotoGP on this weekend as well, so we're kind of lucky in that regard. They were able to just squeeze IFMC in before Formula 1 starts, as Vern rejoins in 12th. I think it just said Pérez is into the pits, which he is. Pérez is in for his scheduled stop Let's see where Checo is going to rejoin then, as he puts on a fresh set of tyres and fuel. Raikkonen now in, Alonso now free from him now then, so Alonso gets back up to third in this race, and Raikkonen finishes his Pérez finishes his pit stop. Raikkonen being served, and where is Raikkonen going to rejoin in after the pit stop, as the lollipop goes up for him, as he goes trundling down pit lane, and Raikkonen will now flick off the pit limiter, and out of the pit lane they'll go then. So Raikkonen, where is he going to rejoin? He rejoins in 8th place, so rejoining 8th is Kimi Raikkonen in front of Charles Leclerc. So Raikkonen's maintaining the points place at the moment. Leclerc just 1 place outside it at this stage, but I think everybody in front, well, I say that Bottas is scheduled to pit, so Leclerc might find himself back into the points. It depends where Bottas rejoins after his second pit stop of the afternoon, as he just goes through the right-hander. And of course Dorado will be in action tomorrow as well, because we do have the official IFMC GP3 preseason test tomorrow on Monday at Magny-Cours. Hopefully Ollie can get the liveries into me today. I need them for today really, because otherwise it's a bit of a problem. So either the launch video will get launched later tonight or tomorrow before the testing session starts. Just be on the lookout for it anyway. So into the pits now goes Valtteri Bottas for his scheduled stop, and let's see where he's going to rejoin then after this pit stop, as the team put on a fresh set of tyres and fuel, as he's now fueled to the end of the Grand Prix. We're on lap 46 of 72 here in South Africa, and so we now have specifically I believe 17 laps to go in this 27 laps to go in the Grand Prix. As it said, I think somebody else was coming in. I could be wrong, but Bottas rejoins in what looks to be 9th place as a result, because now Leclerc finds himself into the points for Shadow as he tries to hunt down Kimi Raikkonen. So Leclerc looking good to finally kick off his season after failing to finish the first 3 races of the season, and he looks like now he's going to finish a race, but it's too early to say at the moment. There's still a load of laps to go. Leclerc's just got to keep his composure to try and finally get his season on track, and even with a points finish as well in 8th place, adding points to Shadow's points account, as Dixon is into the pits. As meantime, Verstappen still leading out in front with Ocon in 2nd place. Alonso trying to hunt down Ocon in 2nd, as it's 10.3 seconds between the pair of them. We'll see if that gap gets cut down any further, but you can definitely tell how much the traffic has played an effect throughout a majority of this race. Alonso looked to have challenged for the victory before the first round of stops, and then he just got involved in a lot of traffic, and Verstappen was able to take full advantage, and even his teammate as well. So Martini in a way getting a little bit lucky. Of course they are expected to have a meeting, of course, to discuss a bit of a budget issue that teams may find that they have, but it was scheduled for Tuesday, but the Martini boss has said he can't make it on Tuesday, so we've got to try and find another day to rearrange it. So so I'll find out what days he can do. I hope it's during the week. It can't be next week, because we need to get this dealt with, because I want to ask the team boss a question about how he's worked out his budget at the moment. I'm not going to say too much, because I'm not going to say if there's going to be any punishments involved or not, but we will see. And but anyway, there might be a solution to come from season 5, who knows. But anyway, to maybe try and sort this out for future, but we'll wait and see. As Alonso now then, what was the gap between him and Ocon? 10.5 seconds, so Ocon's opened up the gap by another 0.2 of a second, and the Martinis look to have this in the bag for a 4th successive race, but anything can happen in Grand Prix racing, and it usually does. So we'll look and see what the gap is like between Raikkonen and Leclerc for P7 as they go through turn 1 on the track. The gap between the pair of them, let's have a look as they go out of turn 1, is now, let's have a look as they go down this little straight. The gap is 5.2 seconds between Raikkonen and Leclerc, so that's how much time he's got on hand. And even better than that, Raikkonen is currently fighting with Hülkenberg at the moment. Hülkenberg trying to fend his 6th place from the Iceman at the moment, so Raikkonen is in a battle of his own, so it could help Leclerc try and close in if he can, and maybe try and grab 6th in this race, with Raikkonen fighting Hülkenberg out, as they've even got traffic to deal with as well, which could help out in this little battle. Raikkonen doesn't think about diving it down the inside into this corner. He stays single file behind Hülkenberg at this stage as they go through the right-hander. And would he try and get the slipstream of Hülkenberg? It doesn't look like he's close enough. Like Hülkenberg has grabbed onto the slipstream of the Mars Grand Prix car in front. Which one it is, I don't know. It could be Dixon or it could be Jones. I'm not 100% sure on that at the moment. As Hülkenberg puts a lap on, it's Ed Jones, in fact, because it's got yellow on the helmet. So it's Jones he's just put a lap on, and Raikkonen will look to try and do the same, which he does. So both of them lap Ed Jones, and so that's that. And Leclerc's down to 9th. What's happened to Leclerc? And it's unseen. He must have made a mistake somewhere, because now Bottas finds himself into the points. What a shame for Leclerc. Could have been points for him today, but he's now going to try and catch up to Bottas if he wants to do that. And, well, probably the pressure got to Leclerc a little bit there, but he turned the race crucially. He hasn't binned it like Giovinazzi and Hamilton did a little earlier on in this race. So he's now finds himself down into 9th place, and Bottas finds himself in the points as the two Mars Grand Prix cars are into combat for P15 as Dixon tries to pile the pressure on Ed Jones. Meantime, Raikkonen side by side with Nico Hülkenberg. Will Raikkonen get the place of Hülkenberg for P6 now? Then his head down towards the right hand, and now Danny inside goes Kimi Raikkonen. Will he grab the place? And he does so. Up to 6th place goes Kimi Raikkonen. He gets the move done on Hülkenberg, and Raikkonen up to 6th place now then in this Grand Prix. As now he'll try and chase down Vettel, who's quite a bit ahead of him at the moment. Vettel in 5th place, Raikkonen now finding himself in EMR sandwich. And even speaking of that, Vettel now starting to close up on 4th place man Sergio Pérez at the moment. So Vettel trying to hunt down the Eldorado. EMR versus Eldorado back on track, it appears now, as Vettel now tries to hunt down the Eldorado of Pérez for 4th place as they go through the final corner, using as much curb as possible to get Checo in this race, as they will now approach the first corner on the track. And Vettel looking very lonely, a bit disappointed for EMR today, it must be said, after the high at Bahrain. It looks like it's just going to be middle of the road points for the EMR team as they'll look to try and bounce back in Spain next weekend in Catalonia. So that's that at the moment. And Verstappen, in fact, I think Ocon's actually starting to close up now onto the race leader. So the Martinis could find themselves battling it out for the lead of the race, because Ocon is starting to close up now onto Max Verstappen in this race. So that's that really, and it looks like Ocon's floor is skating a little bit according to his delta on the right hand side, look, because compared to everybody else, they haven't got yellow on the wooden plank that's underneath. So clearly his wooden plank is rubbing on the floor quite a bit, but it's a 5-second gap between the two Martini teammates. 10.4 seconds is the gap between Alonso and Ocon. So Alonso's taken a little bit out of Ocon this lap from the last time we checked, but still quite a bit behind the two Martinis at this stage of the race. So now they go through the right-hander now then, and Ocon doing whatever he can to close up on his teammate for the win. And we could have a bit of a Martini fight now for the victory here. So now they go through down this back straight now then towards the double right-hander now then. The championship leader trying his best to close up onto Verstappen. So Verstappen so far is his closest rival in the championship early on this season. He doesn't want Verstappen to take that much out of his championship, even though they are teammates and looking on course for their first ever 1-2 finish. But that's that at the moment as they go through the right-hander again. You'd have to say it's a little bit lucky for Martini again, because I think Hamilton had the pace to win here. He was pulling away from the Martinis and then made that crucial error towards the end of the lap. And, well, that's that really. So let's see now then what the gap is between the two Martini boys. It's 4.6 seconds. So Ocon had taken 4 tenths out of Verstappen's lead at the moment. But Ocon is absolutely flying at the moment, but he's stuck behind, and that's even despite traffic in front, it must be said, in the form of Verne. And it's 10.2 seconds between Alonso and Ocon. So even Alonso starting to close back up to Ocon. He's taken 2 tenths out of Ocon's lead. So Alonso starting to get his foot down again and maybe try and see if he could try and close up to Ocon if he can, who at the same time is closing up to the back of his teammate Max Verstappen. So Verstappen might not have it his own way as we have 21 laps to go in this first ever South African Grand Prix here at the Phakisa Freeway. As now going out down towards this little back straight now, then towards the final few corners. You saw Ocon there just in the background of Verstappen, who was busy trying to lap his fellow compatriot Verne. Verne not really helping out his compatriot at the moment in this race, but now Ocon finds a gap down the inside and should be able to put a lap on Jean-Eric Vergne as a result, which he does. So Ocon goes through there without any problem. So that's that for him, as Alonso is coming up to some traffic in himself in the form of Kevin Magnussen, who so far hasn't got the pace compared to teammate Raikkonen at this stage of the Grand Prix. It's a bit of a lock-up from Roland there. Meantime, Vettel still a little bit behind Pérez at the moment. Pérez still doing a solid job trying to hold off 4th place at the moment from the German. So that's that really at this stage, as it's 10.2 still between Alonso and Ocon, so both lapping around about the same pace as each other. Ocon now puts a lap on Vergne, and he's now pretty much around the same corner where Verstappen is. He is caught right up now to the back of his own teammate now then. And if you're Etihad at this stage, you'll be hoping that these two will make contact and maybe take each other out to allow Alonso to win this race at this stage. I bet that's what team boss Oliver Glazebrook is hoping at this stage in order for his team to get back in the championship fight after, well, being unlucky for 2 out of the 4 races, it must be said. And, well, that's that really, as Ocon now that goes through the right-hander as he tries to chase down Max Verstappen. And I'm surprised how much overtaking we've seen around this track. I wasn't expecting many overtakes considering the configuration of the track, but they've definitely proved me wrong today, because we have seen a fair bit of overtaking around here in South Africa. So great job from the boys today, it must be said, and I think it's also quite a good track as well here in Phakisa, and yeah, hopefully we've got a future here as a result here at the Phakisa Freeway. But we will wait and see. And what's the gap now between Ocon and Verstappen? It's 3.3 seconds now is the gap between them. 10.9 between Ocon and Alonso. Alonso starting to drop back again. I don't know if that's because he's coming up to the back of Magnussen in front. It could be, in fact, because he's not that far now behind the Dane as he tries to lap the Suomi in front of him at the moment. And but meantime, we need to get back to these 2 battling Martinis now, because Ocon is really starting to get his foot down. He's not willing to play second fiddle to Verstappen in this race now then, as he looks to make it his 3rd victory of the season. And there's Verstappen in front now then. Ocon has more pace compared to Verstappen in this Grand Prix now then. And now going through these section of corners now then, as I go down this little run now then towards the final few corners on the track. And so now going through the final few corners will go Ocon as he tries to close up onto Verstappen for the lead of the race. And so let's see now then, Ocon really closing down Verstappen now. Then we've got a battle for the lead between the 2 Martinis. And as we now start lap 55 of 72 in this Grand Prix, including the lap we're on, we now have specifically 18 laps to go, I believe, in this Grand Prix. 2.2 seconds, that's a lot of time Ocon took out of Verstappen that time around. Ocon is absolutely flying in this race now then, as he's taking big chunks out of his teammates' lead at the moment, and the 2 Martinis looking to be into combat for the first time this season. And if you're pretty much a team that's against Martini at the moment, you'll be hoping that something bad happens to both of them at this stage of the race, and well, you'll be hoping that they will take each other out in the case of Etihad, that's for sure. And maybe even other teams are trying to close up onto the Martinis at the moment in this championship. So now we go through the right-hander. Ocon really trying to hunt down Verstappen for the lead of the race, and using as much curb on the outside as possible now then as you go through the flat-out right-hander on the track. And Ocon now then currently in 2nd place at this stage of the race. And so now going through the right-hander now then as I go up towards the left. And so that's that really at this stage of the race now then. Ocon really pushing hard now to get Verstappen. Let's see what the gap is like now between the top 2 in this race as we go through in towards turn 1. And it's 1.5 seconds between the pair of them. 1.5 seconds. Ocon took 7/10 out of Verstappen's lead that time. And clearly this stint is not favouring Verstappen whatsoever. It's definitely favouring his French teammate and even a rival of his when they were racing each other in Formula, I think it was Formula Renault. It was actually Formula 3, wasn't it? Back in Formula 3, back in 2014. So yeah, and they now find themselves as teammates here in Martini, and now they find themselves into combat, it must be said. As they now go up towards the right-hander now then. Going out the corner now then, using as much curb as possible as they now go down through this back straight towards the final few corners on the track. Ocon really pushing hard now to get Max Verstappen for the lead of the race now. Then as they break towards the second to last corner now then on the track. And Ocon now then really pushing hard now to get Verstappen as they approach the final corner now then, heading down the pit straight towards the first corner now then. And let's see now what the gap is like between the top two on lap 57 of 72 here in South Africa. And it is 1.2 seconds. That is all that covers these two at this stage of the race. So that's that at the moment now then as I go through the right-hander. 1.2 seconds is the gap between the pair of them now then. So only 3 attempts Ocon took out of him that time around, as Alonso's now 12.5 seconds back. So he is starting to lose time even more to the Martinis, and hoping that those two maybe collide in front for him to have any chance of winning his first Grand Prix of the season and getting himself back in the title fight. So that's that for him really, as they now go through the right-hander now then, as they go through the flat-out right-hander down towards the little back straight towards the flat-out right-hander. And look how close now Ocon is getting to the back of Verstappen in this race. And if you're Cameron Anderson at this point, you're probably going to be worried at this stage whether these two are probably going to make contact or not. And I bet they're hoping at this stage that they both do not take each other out. And I'm guessing he's allowing both of his drivers to race. That's important. So hopefully we get some action as they come up to some more traffic in the form of 2 AMPs who have had their issues with Martini so far since they joined the top class back in season 3. And currently still have it, judging from the press conferences, which involved team boss Will Neller giving ear rape. If you hadn't seen that, go and check it out on the JWF1 YouTube channel. I do recommend that you put some protection in your ears when he does that. But anyway, Ocon now then trying everything to get Verstappen. They're coming up to some traffic as mentioned, which could help Ocon get Verstappen in this Grand Prix as they now go through the left-hander. We have a battle for the lead in this Grand Prix between the two Martinis now then, as they all now approach the right-hander, flicking the car in, using as much curb on the outside as possible as they go flat through the right-hander up towards the final few corners on the track. Then we will go, and so now through towards the corner now then, as I go up towards the second to last corner. Ocon trying to brake as little late as possible to get Verstappen in this Grand Prix now then, as they're getting closer now to that traffic. And Ocon can sense that the victory could be his as the 2 AMPs scrap it out for 10th place. Van Dorn all over the backside of Verline at the moment in this race, and the gap between Ocon and Verstappen now, there's a go out turn 1, is 1 second exactly. So that's what the gap looks like at the moment. Ocon trying to get within the slipstream of the Dutchman if he can now then, as I go through the right-hander now then on the track. And as you can see, look how much traffic they're going to have to deal with in the moment. And this could play a big part in this Grand Prix as they go through the right-hander now then up towards the left. We will go, and you can tell how many lockups have been done around this racetrack as Ocon goes out of that corner now then, heading down towards the right-hander now then, and getting as close as possible to the back of his teammate if he can in this race now, as they head down the straight towards the right-hander. Down the inside goes Van Dorn on Verline, but unable to make the move stick. Van Dorn having to tuck back for now, as they are also coming up to try and lap Ricciardo as well, the 2 AMPs at the moment. As now going through the right-hander we will go. Ocon really trying to harry down Verstappen in this race now then. Through the last corner we will go, and onto the pit straight. What's the gap between the top two? We now have 13 laps to go in this South African Grand Prix. We're on lap 60 now of 72 in this Grand Prix, and it's 0.8 seconds. Ocon takes 2 tenths out of Verstappen's lead that time around as I go through the right and left-hander now then. As meantime, Van Dorn has a look at Verline for P10, but Verline shutting the door on his less experienced teammate. Of course, Verline having more experience than Van Dorn in the series, as now we go up towards the right-hander now then. Ocon doing whatever he can to pile the pressure on Verstappen in this Grand Prix as they now go up towards the left-hander. And so now we go through the next few corners on the track, And Ocon's still not close enough to maybe put an attack on his teammate now then. As they go through the right-hander. He got a little bit closer, I think, on the exit of that corner. As meantime, Vandoorne again looking to the inside of teammate Verline. Will he get the move done this time? No, Verline shutting the door, and it's bringing the Martinis closer now to them as a result. So Verstappen could find himself in a bit of trouble now, because Ocon will be ready to pounce at him at any time during this race. Now then, Verstappen's got to try and lap him quickly if he doesn't want Ocon to put an attack on him now then, as they head down the pit straight. The gap between the pair of them now then is to head down towards turn 1 on the track. 12 laps remaining in this Grand Prix is now 0.5 seconds, half a second in front is Verstappen compared to Ocon at this stage of the Grand Prix. Alonso 11.2 back. He probably will gain a little bit because the two Martinis are busy in this traffic, as the two AMPs are busy fighting amongst themselves and trying to lap Ricciardo themselves at the moment. And lots of traffic in front of the Martinis to deal with at the moment. Verline went defensive there compared to Stoffel Vandoorne as we ride on board with Esteban Ocon, as he will now approach the left-hander on the track. And so now we go through this corner now then, as Ocon trying to get into the slipstream of his teammate, and he's getting closer and closer now to the back of the Dutchman as they go through the right-hander. Ocon now then lining up Verstappen. Perhaps will he try and go for a move down this little back straight? Ocon in the slipstream of Verstappen. He's going to look to the inside. Will Ocon try and grab the lead from his teammate? No, Verstappen shuts the door on him there. And Verstappen saying no way to Ocon for that attack, as now the two AMPs now try and lap Ricciardo. This is going to be a little bit awkward for all four of these guys, the two AMPs and the two Martinis at the moment. Verline puts a lap on Ricciardo, as now Verstappen tries to put a lap on Vandoorne. Ocon looking for any way through, and well, that was close to contact there between Ocon and Vandoorne there. Luckily, Ocon read him like a book, really, as it's 0.3 seconds. They're still able to take 2 tenths out of Verstappen's lead now then, as they head down the hill towards turn number 4, I would say, because I would presume that those little right and left handers count as a corner around here. As now coming out of the corner now then, Ocon, will he try and line him up for a pass down the inside into this corner? It doesn't look like Ocon's going to be close enough to mount an attack this time around as they go through the right-hander now then. Out of the corner we will go, as we have 11 laps left in this Grand Prix, up towards the left-hander now then. Ocon really trying to line up Verstappen for a pass into this corner now then. And so now going through the right and left-hander on the track. Verstappen now trying to put a lap on Daniel Ricciardo, as Ocon now wants to try and lap Ricciardo himself, and which he does as they go through the right-hander. And so through then goes Esteban Ocon, as he puts a lap there on Daniel Ricciardo. Ocon now then trying to line up Verstappen for a pass if he can. And Verstappen again coming up to this bit of traffic. Ocon lost a little bit of time as a result to being stuck behind Ricciardo. As now through the final corner they go. And again, as you can see, Verline now putting a lap on Ed Jones there, and now Verstappen trying to do the same. Jones probably just realised him at the last minute. Will Ocon try and get up close? Will he try and go to the right hand side there? Verstappen struggling to put a lap on Ed Jones at the moment. Jones still sticking with him. Jones has to yield for the time being. Verstappen puts a car between himself and his teammate at the moment in this Grand Prix. But Ocon now puts a lap on Ed Jones. And I will probably ask the question in a bit, how far behind is Alonso? I wouldn't be surprised if he's not too far behind at the moment. No, he's only coming up towards the right-hander, and the Martinis are only just there. So Alonso starting to close up on the Martinis as a result of this traffic that the pair of them have got themselves involved in. But Alonso will have to do the same and may start to lose time again, as now they go through towards this right-hander. Ocon trying everything in his power to get his teammate for the win here in South Africa, as they head down towards the little mini straight now then, towards the final few corners on the track now then. Ocon really trying his best to get Verstappen. Verstappen trying his best to lap Verline in the AMP in front of him at the moment. As they go through the section of corners, Verstappen now trying to put a lap on Verline if he can. Ocon trying to see if there's an opportunity down the inside, but Verstappen still in front. at the present moment. Again, Ocon with a similar thing to what he did to Van Dorn, trying to see if there's much slipstream now there, but now look how close Ocon has got. They've got a little bit of breathing space before they come up to the next set of traffic, and now Ocon right on the slipstream of Max Verstappen now that his head down towards the straight, towards the right hand, and now they're on the track, using as much curb as possible now as they come out of the right-hander, and now up towards the hairpin we will go. And now Ocon really piling the pressure on Max Verstappen now then in this race. Verstappen, who's led a majority of this Grand Prix now then, as they go through the left-hander on the track. And now heading down towards this little back straight now then. Ocon now starting to line up Verstappen for a pass if he can, as they go through the right-hander. Alonso there in the background, he's not far behind this bit of traffic, but now look at the slipstream Ocon has on the back of Verstappen. He tucks up, he looks to the inside. Will he try and get the move done on Max Verstappen? And no, Verstappen shutting the door through the right hand of Verstappen, keeping him honest at the moment as they go up towards the second to last corner on the track now then. And through the right-hander we will go. Ocon now trying to get the move on Max Verstappen as they go up towards the final corner. As they'll head down the straight, Ocon getting a run on his teammate. Will he try and go for the move down the inside into turn one now then? Ocon thought about it, but stays single file through towards turn one. And maybe try and line him up for a pass down towards the right-hander. As they now go downhill towards the final few through this next corner. Ocon going for an attack on Verstappen. No, Verstappen just shutting the door there as they now come up behind some more traffic in the form of the two monster cars. Verstappen putting a lap on Hartley there, as will Ocon as well. Both of them getting through. Okay, a big lock up there for Max Verstappen. He can feel the pressure of his teammate right behind him at this stage now. And as I go up towards the left-hander, Ocon really trying his best to get Verstappen for the lead of the Grand Prix. Through towards the left-hander we will go. Heading down the second part of the crossover point where the oval meets. And now through towards the right-hander now then we will go. And well, what a race this is turned to be in these final few laps. Ocon again getting a run on Max Verstappen. Out the corner we will go. Ocon in the slipstream looks to the inside of Max Verstappen. Will he get the move done? No, again Verstappen shutting the door on Esteban Ocon. Ocon had to back off a little bit there as they go up towards the hairpin now then. Ocon really trying to size up the move on Max Verstappen for the lead of the Grand Prix, as we will start lap 66 of 72. We only have 7 laps left of this Grand Prix, and we've still got a fight for the lead brewing here. Ocon now trying to get the run on down the pit straight on Verstappen. He tucks up into his slipstream. He looks to the inside. Is Ocon going to grab the lead from Verstappen? Verstappen hangs it round the outside, and Verstappen keeps on the lead for the time being. Ocon tucks back for now. Can he try and get him down towards this right-hander, as they are still trying their best to lap Hartley in front in the monster car? Through towards the right-hander we will go. Ocon really trying to get the place off his teammate now then. And, well, that's that really. Alonso now coming up to this piece of traffic himself, as he's not far behind the Martinis himself now as a result of all of this is going off. Through the right-hander we will go then up towards the left-hander now then on the track. And Ocon really trying to get the lead off his teammate Verstappen as they come up to the piece of traffic. Verstappen in the slipstream of Hartley's monster car. And now through towards the right-hander we will go. And now out to the corner now, then heading through the right-hander on the track. As they now approach this corner now, then Verstappen putting a lap on Hartley. Ocon tried to have a look at him there, but again unable to do so. As look how hard Ocon is pushing hard there. He had to really work hard in the car there, and it looked like the car tried to step out on him there, but Ocon able to correct it as a result. As the two Martinis continue to scrap it out for the lead of the race now then. Down the pit straight we will go. Will Ocon try and get the lead from Verstappen this time around? And it doesn't look like Ocon is close enough this time around. I think we've got 6 laps left of this first ever South African Grand Prix. The two Martini teammates into combat for the lead of the Grand Prix. Heading down through the right and then the left-hander Ocon now then. Right in the slipstream of Verstappen. He's going to try and dive it down the inside. Verstappen goes defensive towards turn 4 now then, and they're still pretty much battling it out now for the lead as Ocon tries to stick within his teammate's slipstream. Through towards turn 5 we go. Ocon all over the backside of his teammate for the lead of this race. There's 6 laps remaining here in Phakisa, and now through towards turn number 6 we will go. And now down towards the second crossover point now then, where the oval meets, down through the corners, and there we go. Ocon as the sparks come off the back of Verstappen's car now then, as they now go through the right-hander. Through they go then, round this flat out right-hander. Ocon in the slipstream of Verstappen, he looks to the inside. Will Ocon get the job done this time on Verstappen? No, not quite again. Verstappen shutting the door on Ocon at the moment. It's getting tense in the Martini camp between these two drivers. They're praying that both of them don't get involved in a crash as they now go up towards the final corner on the track now then, through towards the last corner on the track. Alonso, there he is, still coming up to that piece of traffic at the present moment. Vettel slowly closing back into Pérez, as is Raikkonen at the moment, as meantime Leclerc's dropped back now in 9th place, but looking good to get his first finish of the season now then. Ocon unable to make a move into turn 1. Will he try and go for the move down in towards turn 4 now then, in the slipstream of Verstappen? Will he try and dive it? No, he can't. Probably trying to see where he can find a weak point in his teammate now then, as they head down towards turn 5 on the track, still staying with his slipstream. Verstappen going very defensive through towards the right-hander there then, and Ocon really trying his best to get Verstappen for his 3rd victory. Verstappen looking to make it level in terms of victories with his teammate in this race, and pair them now then really fighting amongst themselves for the lead of the race now then, as they go through the right-hander now then. Ocon really piling the pressure on Max Verstappen in this Grand Prix now then, as he gets in the slipstream of the Dutchman. Out of the corner we go. Ocon in the slipstream. He looks at the inside. Will Ocon get the move done on Verstappen? No, again. Verstappen shutting the door on his French teammate as they now go up towards the right-hander on the track. And, well, that's that really at the moment now. As they go up towards the left-hander. Ocon doing whatever he can to get his teammate as they head down the pit straight now then. Ocon trying to challenge Verstappen for a move if he can, and again not close enough to make a pass, as we only have 4 laps left in this Grand Prix. Lap 69 to 72 now. We're now on Ocon trying his best to pile the pressure on Max Verstappen now as they head down towards turn 4 on the track. Ocon not close enough to make a move on Verstappen again that time around. Out of the corner we go now then, heading towards turn number 5 on the track. Ocon now then trying to size up for a move if he can. Again, just staying within his gearbox now then, as they go out of turn 5 now then, up towards turn 6 on the track we will go. The two Martinis into combat in these final remaining laps of the Grand Prix now then, as they head down through the turn number 7 and 8 up towards turn 9 on the track. Ocon really in the slipstream now then of Verstappen. Will Ocon get the move done on his teammate? He gets into the slipstream again, looks to the inside, through towards that right-hander again. Verstappen shutting the door on Esteban Ocon. Ocon getting a bit frustrated at the moment, and he looked like he got a little bit of a wiggle there, but luckily still able to keep intact, with still keep in touch with teammate Verstappen. Up towards the final corner he will go, as they now start lap 70 of 72 in this Grand Prix now, as they head down towards turn 1 on the track. Ocon really trying everything in his power to get his teammate right in the slipstream now. Then out of turn 1 we go, down the hill towards turn 4 we will go, through turn 2, then around turn 3, and then up towards turn 4. Ocon again not thinking about diving it down the inside into that right-hander as they go out of the turn number 5 now. Then Verstappen again going very defensive compared to his teammate at the moment as they go through the right-hander now. Then out the corner we will go towards the left-hander, and so now around we go now. Then out of the corner we will go, flat through the right and then through the left, and now we go through the right-hander on the track. And so now flat through the right-hander we will go, as Ocon now in the slipstream of Verstappen again. Looks to the inside of the Dutchman. Will he again? Again, it looks like Verstappen will close the door, which he does so. Ocon probably getting frustrated, being stuck behind his teammate at this stage of the race, as they will start the penultimate lap quite soon now then in this Grand Prix. And Ocon doing whatever he can to try and win this race now. Then as I go out of the final corner onto the pit straight, we will go. Ocon now, will he try and go for the move down towards turn 1? No, again, not close enough to make a pass. 2 laps to go for these two now then. Ocon still trying everything in his power to get Verstappen for the lead as they go through the right and left-hander on the track now then. Ocon right in his slipstream. Will he try and dive it towards turn 4? No, he can't. He can't do that time around. And Ocon still sticking with him at this stage. Alonso coming up to lap traffic. He's not far behind the Martinis, but I think he's too far to catch him back up to try and get the win in this Grand Prix. Ocon now then trying to go through turn 5 now then up towards turn 6 on the track. And, well, this is getting quite tense now between Verstappen and Ocon now then as they head down through the right and left-hander now then on the track. They will approach the right-hander now then. Through he will go, using as much curb on the outside. He will go down this little back straight now then. Will Ocon try and go for the move this time? Down the inside goes Esteban. Ocon, is the move complete this time? No, again Verstappen shut in the door on Ocon. He was a lot closer than what he was before at that point. I honestly thought Ocon had it then, but Verstappen again shut in the door on his teammate as they now go down towards the final corner as the two Martinis will start the final lap here in Phakisa. We've got our last lap dash between Verstappen and Ocon as we head down towards turn 1. Will Ocon try and go for a moving towards turn 1? No, he's not close enough that time around. And, well, he may have a few chances left in the pocket to try and get Verstappen. It's the last lap of the Grand Prix now then. And Ocon now then, will he try and get the move on Max Verstappen down towards turn 4? Again, unable to make the move stick that time around as I go through towards turn number 5. And then up towards, turn 4, up towards turn 5. Verstappen choosing not to go defensive in towards that corner now then. Through the right hand, they go the two Martinis now then. As they will now approach turn number 6 on the track. And, well, as that really through towards the left-hander, getting into the slipstream of Max Verstappen. Will he get the move done on his Dutch teammate this time? Will Ocon? And no, doesn't think about it. Maybe trying down that little straight. Probably his last chance to get Verstappen in this race through the right-hander. We will go. Ocon's got to go and try and go for the move this time. He looks to the inside through the right-hander, but Verstappen covers him off. And I think that's Ocon's chance of victory gone. I think Verstappen will just hold him off unless Ocon can try and dive it towards the final corner perhaps. We will see as they go up towards the final corner. It's going to be close, but I think Verstappen's just going to hold him off. Through the final corner we go. It's going to be Max Verstappen who wins the South African Grand Prix after a close fight with Esteban Ocon. Congratulations to him and the Martini Motorsport team. A great duel between the two teams, but Verstappen just has him at the end to take his second victory of his career. Ocon finishes second. Alonso crosses the line in third. It's going to be Pérez, I think, who's going to cross the line fourth, despite Vettel right on him at the end. Pérez is going to cross the line in fourth place in the end in there then. So around the final corner he goes. Pérez crosses the line in fourth place in the end there then. Vettel crosses the line in fifth. Raikkonen will finish in sixth for Suomi. And then it is going to be Hülkenberg who will cross the line in 7th place in the EMR. So another double points finish for EMR, but still not satisfactory for the East Midlands based team as Hülkenberg approaches the final corner on the track. And so Hülkenberg crosses the line in 7th. Bottas will cross the line in 8th in the end there. So 8th place for Bottas. Leclerc is going to cross the line in 9th to finally get a finish this season to put himself on the championship board at long last. Still no points, but at least he's finally got his season on track and finally finished the Grand Prix. It could have been had it not been for a little spin earlier on, but Leclerc is going to cross the line in 9th. In front, Dixon finishes 14th, and there you have it. In the end, Max Verstappen wins the race after a close fight with Esteban Ocon in the end. And, well, what a close fight it was in the end there then. So there you have it then, guys. After all of that, here was the results of the South African Grand Prix here in Phakisa, the first ever South African Grand Prix. Max Verstappen won the race with Esteban Ocon second, Fernando Alonso third, Sergio Pérez fourth, Sebastian Vettel fifth, Kimi Raikkonen sixth, Nico Hülkenberg seventh, with Valtteri Bottas eighth, Charles Leclerc ninth, Pascal Wehrlein 10th, Jean-Eric Vergne 11th, Kevin Magnussen 12th, Stoffel Van Dorn 13th, with Scott Dixon in 14th. And if we scroll down the rest of the field, it is Oliver Rowland in 15th, Brendan Hartley 16th, Ed Jones 17th, Daniel Ricciardo, the last of the finishers, in 18th after losing his front wing a little earlier on in the race. And the 4 retirements were Romain Grosjean, Carlos Sainz Jr., Antonio Giovinazzi, and Lewis Hamilton. They were the retirements. So let's see who set the fastest lap of the race. And it was Esteban Ocon with a 1 minute 7.050. He was 7 tenths quicker than Sebastian Vettel in the end, who set the second fastest time. So there you have it then, guys. That has been it from the first ever South African Grand Prix. I hope you enjoy it. It has been a very surprisingly exciting race. I wasn't expecting much from this track, but it has definitely delivered, and a fantastic race nonetheless. But we're not quite finished with live streams this weekend, because tomorrow we have the GP3 preseason test at Magny-Cours. Hopefully Ollie can get the liveries done today. I would like it to be today. So hopefully the launch video will be out later on tonight or tomorrow morning or afternoon before the GP3 test gets underway. I've only got 3 liveries so far. I just need 8 more. But anyway, guys, that has been it. I hope you've enjoyed it. So thank you very much for watching. I've been JWF1, and I'll either see you guys tomorrow for the preseason test for IFMC GP3 tomorrow at Magny-Cours. But if I don't see you then, I will see you again, guys, next weekend at the Spanish Grand Prix at Catalonia. It's returning to Catalonia after a season out. And that is the end. That will be that, and it will be a packed weekend in Spain as well, with the top class GP2 and GP3 in action that weekend. But until then, guys, that has been it. I hope you enjoyed it. So thank you very much for watching. I've been JWF1, and I will see you guys, hopefully some of you, tomorrow for the IFMC GP3 preseason test at Magny-Cours. Until then, take care and enjoy the top class podium.